Hello YouTube and hello everyone. I am back with another great YouTube video about old technology. So today I'm going to be comparing the external specifications of the iPad 1 to the external specifications of the iPad 2. So before I begin, I would like to ask you kindly to please take a moment to just press the subscribe button. It really only takes a few seconds to do and it will really help my channel grow, and I would really appreciate it. And you can even learn more about old tech. So let's begin with the front. As you can see, the iPad 2 I have here is white, while the iPad 1 I have here is black. Well, basically the iPad 2 was released in both white and black in 2011, while the iPad 1 was just released in black in 2010. And when you look at the screen in front, you can see one major difference is that the iPad 1 doesn't really have a selfie camera up here, while the iPad 2 clearly has it over here. And you can also see that the iPad 1 has the side shows even more than the iPad 2, while the iPad 2 it's like more slim in general, and the sides don't really show that much. So let's move on to the sides. The iPad 2, as you can see, it has the mute switch or rotation switch, and it has the volume buttons over here. And the iPad 1 also has the switch and the volume buttons, but the iPad 1 has one large switch, while the iPad 2 actually also has one large switch. And when you look up here, you can see that the iPad 1's power button is actually smaller than the iPad 2's power button, which makes the iPad 2 a little more convenient. And you can see that the headphone jack is white for the iPad 1 but black for the iPad 2. So on this side, it's basically there's nothing much, just that this model of the iPad 2 I have has a SIM slot because it's a cellular. But if the iPad 1 is cellular, it will also have a SIM slot. And you can basically see that the iPad 2 is much slimmer in design than the iPad 1. And from the bottom, we can see that the iPad 1 and iPad 2 both have the 30-pin connector, but the iPad 1 has like a little white design from here, and the iPad 2 has like a black design. And basically, when you look at the speakers, you can see that the iPad 1 doesn't have the same speaker grill that the iPad 2 has. Honestly, I prefer the iPad 2's speaker grill because it's basically louder. It can be louder, and you can hear things more clearly. So now the main part. At the back here, you can see that the iPad 1 doesn't even have a camera. So basically, the first iPad was released without a camera, while the second iPad and all the other iPads released after it came with a camera, which was really helpful for the iPad 2, and it helped it become a really good iPad. Both iPads actually came in either 16 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes, or 64 gigabytes. Now the one I have here, the iPad 1, it's 32 gigabytes, while the iPad 2 is 64 gigabytes. And basically, yeah, as we mentioned, the iPad 2 has also a flat back, so it's like it doesn't rock as much when you place it down. So for example, if I place the iPad 1 down, it can move more easily than the iPad 2 does, making the iPad 2 more convenient as well. By the way, Apple, I believe, did a really good redesign for the iPad 2. And in addition to that, the iPad 2 and the iPad 1 logo, for the Apple logo, it seems that they're almost the same size, so there's not that much difference. And here the iPad 2 has this, I forgot what it's called. I think it's like I'll just call it a line that shows it's cellular. But if the iPad 1 came as cellular, it would also have this line. And yep, basically there's also different models, for each Apple device. Here I have model A1219 for the iPad 1, and the iPad 2 it's A1396. So basically this is all. I hope you enjoyed this brief video, and please again take a moment to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Plus you can learn more tips and tricks and more knowledge on old tech, which will basically help you in general. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a really nice day. Goodbye.